Humbling and rewarding. Those are two of the best terms that I can think of that represent how I feel about this year's PowerShell Summit and DevOps Summit 2018. If you've never attended this conference and you follow my blog or are really into a lot of the other PowerShell blogs, PowerShell content, and PowerShell people, you're doing yourself a disservice. This conference is the biggest one yet this year. I mean, there was 370 people at this conference this year, and this is my fourth or fifth year, I think, going to this. First year was 50 people, and the first time that I went, it was like maybe 75, 100 people, and it's now up to 370 people. And you'll find in this conference, it's not like any other that I've attended. The atmosphere is it's so friendly. I mean, everybody is so helpful of everyone else. You'll never see anybody flaming someone else. You'll never see anybody telling somebody else, "Oh, you're wrong. You're wrong." Everybody obviously everybody has their own opinions, but we're able to kind of come together and kind of see that you might be doing this differently, or you might do this a different way. It's no like you're going to heckle somebody in a session and say, "Oh, you're wrong. That's ridiculous." That sort of thing. That really doesn't happen at this conference. This conference is all about system administrators. I think it's like 50%. Don said. Don Jones is the one that Don Jones and the DevOps Collective, and Richard Sidaway, Jeff Hicks, and Jason Helmick. Those guys are all kind of put it on, and the conference is all about for system administrators. I think it was like 50%. They said DevOps and automation engineers. Anybody in the kind of automation space in the Microsoft realm. It's kind of like, if you're familiar with the WinOps conference, there's the WinOps conference in London, I believe, and it's very similar to that. It's all about DevOps, automation, PowerShell, configuration management, all that sort of cool stuff in the Microsoft space. And what this conference did for me this year, since I've been going to it for the past 4 or 5 years now, the conference has really been representative of my people. These are my people. When you come to a conference, you feel like, oh, I'm home. These are my people. This is exactly the same concept, and this conference has followed me through my career progression and through my community involvement, and it was so humbling to me because I've been contributing and sharing content and doing all that stuff in the PowerShell community for I don't know, I think it's maybe 3 or 4 years now. And it was at this conference that I had an overwhelming number of people come up to me and say, "Thank you for what you do. I really appreciate it." Plus receiving the PowerShell Open Source Projects Hero Award too from the PowerShell team. It's like, you don't really realize what you're doing. You just kind of put in those blog posts, you put in these card talks, you put in these user group talks, you do these session talks, and you just kind of go, day to day and kind of do what you're doing. You love helping people, just love doing it. It's just kind of a day-to-day thing. But it's not until you step back and realize that, have a conference like this that makes you realize, like, the kind of impact that you're having on people. I mean, just the feeling of having everyone come up to you and thank you about this thing is still kind of overwhelming to me. And just in Car Talks fashion here, completely unedited and unscripted, I am going to the ATM. But I can talk while I'm doing this. So let's hope so, at least. Just don't look at my pen. Oh, good, you can't see my pen. So yeah, I think that the conference to me was great because I learned so much, but at the same time, I was able to get all of this feedback from others, and just realize the impact that I'm having on people, and that really gives you that shot in the arm. Not only that, I also did a side session because of this feeling that I had, that I just like this sense of gratitude, and this experience that I had was I decided to do a side session. I've tried to do sessions in the past at conferences, and speaking is one of those last goals that I have to really get better at, because I'm pretty bad at it. Not necessarily bad at it, it just kind of freaks me out. But anyway, I decided to do kind of an impromptu side session. And the side session was about accelerate your career and others by proving you're a badass. And I don't do a whole lot of speaking, but that session was the most gratifying and fun session I have ever done, I think, bar none. From any of the technical courses that I've done, any of the technical content, that session was by far and away the most enjoyable and the most gratifying one, because I was able to get up in a very informal atmosphere. I mean, I didn't even have any AV. I had to actually print out some slides, and I did do a recording of that, so you should see that here on the YouTube channel sometime soon. But it was about being able to get up and contribute to the community, do blog posts, get involved on Twitter, get involved in forums, user group posts, and how doing that how it helps others and helps yourself. And I really focused on real world examples from me being the completely transparent person in this world. I shared real world numbers, how much money that I made just because of my contribution to the community. One of the big selling points of that was that I wanted to tell people, sure, you work your 40-hour-a-week job, you go do your 9 to 5 or whatever, and you're tired when you get home, you don't want to do things, you don't work stuff on the weekends, and you feel like, well, if I write this blog post, that's just going to be I'm just doing that for free, I'm not getting paid, okay, yeah, I'm helping others, but yeah, you just see the numbers on your stats, and think, well, that's great, but you really don't have that motivation, because to have that really great motivation to continue on doing something for free is you have to feel like you're getting some kind of fulfillment. You're getting some kind of some kind of fulfillment out of it. You don't really, you get discouraged eventually, because you think, well, I'm just doing all this stuff for free. I'm not getting paid. I'm not really getting a lot of comments and feedback from people. What a lot of that talk was about, how I talked about putting value in your bucket. Every time you make a blog post, you do a user group talk, you do a session talk, you do anything in the community, you're putting value in your bucket. And that's one of the way that I was able to get a job that over doubled my current salary and made me a significant amount of money, more money than I've ever made in my life. And during that talk, there was also a lot of other success stories about how they got started, and there would be no way that they were able to get to where they are without providing and contributing to the community. That was such a rewarding talk for me, because I was able to get up and talk from a personal story, a personal experience of mine, and talking real numbers too. That's one thing that I really think I wish a lot more people would do, is talk real numbers. I say in the talk, last year I made $269,000. Nobody wants to talk about specific numbers, but it's the specific numbers and the specific circumstances that really motivate people. $269,000 a year is a lot of money for me, and I'm sure it's a lot of money for other people as well. And I wanted to show that is a specific number that you can achieve. There's no way possible that I could have ever achieved that if I would have not simply started a blog. I mean, right now I've got over 400 posts on there, And I would have never been able to do that. I would never have been able to even come close to that number if I were just to keep going with my 9 to 5 and my day-to-day. So that was the session that I did, and I hope to have that up pretty soon here on YouTube. That was such a rewarding session. And I think at this point in my career, once I've gotten more senior, more technical, I'm almost getting to the point where I've heard an interview on Freakonomics here recently from Ray Dalio. I think he's a hedge fund manager, and he was saying that there's 3 phases in life. The first phase, you depend on everybody. The second phase, you have people depending on you, your family, and you want to be successful. And the third phase is you have some modicum of success, and you want to have other people be successful. And I really think that I'm sort of getting to that point in my life. I'm approaching 40. I know 40, that's the big term, but for some reason I'm feeling, I'm feeling a little bit differently now. I've been in IT for 20 years, and I'm 38, approaching 40, and I really feel to some extent that I need to start doing more. I need to really focus less on learning deep dive technical stuff, and I've done plenty of that in my career, but it feels like it's more rewarding now to kind of sum up all of that technical content and talk about bigger things, soft skills, career things, how you can get started in IT, because those are the things, in my opinion, they make so much bigger impact on people, is career, and life decisions and stuff like that. That stuff is much more impactful rather than me writing a blog post on how to do this and how to do that. That's me personally, but I wanted to stress to people, if you're not doing this at all, you should at least write about what you enjoy, what you're doing at work. If you have a great way to a new way to read a text file in PowerShell, or how to orchestrate some really big systems management process, something like that. Things that you enjoy, you need to write about that. That's what I started doing. I started writing about that, and I still do quite a bit of that stuff. But I did notice in this year, this summit, I seem to kind of go to a different phase. I've been doing this for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, and it doesn't really seem a lot, but I seem to be getting to this point to where I personally need to do more, less deep dive, real technical stuff, and focus more on, career and life decisions and stuff that an IT pro can take home. So yeah, the PowerShell and DevOps Summit 2018. If you've never been to it, you owe it to yourself to do it. The community is great, even if you're not into PowerShell hardcore like a lot of us are. Some of the sessions will probably go straight over your head. There's a lot of deep dive content, but they have a Slack channel, and to give you an example of how friendly and welcoming the community is, there was somebody that was a novice at PowerShell, and he wanted to learn more about it, and he felt like he was overwhelmed. And there was like 16, 17 replies to this guy saying, well, you should have read the brochure, you should have read all the marketing stuff, you should have read all this stuff that says, well, it's going to be a deep dive content. They didn't do that at all. They took the initiative to say, please let us know if there's anything to do. There was a few people that said, look me up, at our evening event, and I could help you out. I mean, and even next year they're talking about a separate conference to show for people beginning with PowerShell and kind of getting involved in it. And I think that's great, because this community that we've built over the years, there's so many of us, there's so many personalities and different people coming from different backgrounds. I talked to somebody from Israel. I talked to somebody from West Virginia. I talked to somebody from Australia. They come from all over the world. And this conference is the one conference that you feel like, I hate the you're part of a family, foo-foo, woo-woo stuff. but it does kind of feel like that. Once you get involved, they're so welcoming. If you love automation, PowerShell, any Azure, anything in the Microsoft space, this is the community and the conference that you need to go to. It's so rewarding. It's a shot in the arm for your career because it has just so many great people. You can make so many good connections. The session content is really good. It's a really, really great conference for you to go to, and I highly encourage you to hit it up. So this Car Talks is a little bit longer because it was sort of a review of the PowerShell Summit. I'm still a little jet lagged. The two hour delay, me getting up at 6:30 this morning when it was actually 4:30 Pacific time, kind of killed me. But anyway, yeah, this Car Talk is was going to be about a review of the PowerShell Summit and what my experience was and how you should go. So, PowerShell Summit 2019, be there.